Offering. We have heard a lot about this word, so it must be important. After all, why can we hear it everywhere if it doesn't mean anything? But is it really important? And if so, why is it important? This video will attempt to give some answers to this question, using some biblical text from the book of Genesis. This video will explain its importance by analyzing 1. The benefits of giving an offering, and 2. The consequences of failing to offer to God. First, let's look at the benefits. For this, we need to go to Genesis chapter 8. This chapter contains part of the story of Noah. We all know him from Noah's Ark and the Great Flood. So chapter 8 talks about the final part of the flood. But before we dissect this chapter, let's talk a little bit about why the Great Flood happened. So a few generations after the banishment from the Garden of Eden, humans multiplied and spread over the world. But God saw the humans were completely and consistently corrupt and violent. God was so heartbroken and regretted creating humans, so he decided to kill all humans and animals except for Noah and his family and some animals inside the ark. God flooded the earth for a year, and all humans and animals died. When the flood was over, Noah went out of the ark, and he was so grateful to God that the first thing he did upon touching the ground for the first time after 1 year was to build an altar. Then he worshipped the Lord and gave him an offering. And look what happened after Noah gave God an offering, because this is very important. God was so pleased with the offering that God vowed never to send the flood to wipe out the humans and animals again. Incredible. So Noah's offering made God change his mind towards humanity and made God more merciful towards humans and animals. Thanks to Noah's offering to the Lord, all the humans and animals in the world today have been saved and will never ever experience the great flood again. Alright, so in this example, offering to God will lead to God's mercy. That is the first example. The second example can be found in Genesis chapter 22. This chapter is about Abraham, the father of many nations. But in order for him to be blessed with this name, he needed to pass a test from God, and it was not an ordinary test. God told him to kill his son Isaac and sacrifice him as a burnt offering. And take note, Abraham loved Isaac so much because Abraham and Sarah, Abraham's wife, never had a son until they were 199 years old, respectively. Imagine Abraham being childless for that long, and then here comes God instructing him to kill his most beloved son Isaac as a sacrifice. That's insane. But Abraham trusted God and obeyed him nonetheless. So he took Isaac to a mountain, built an altar, blindfolded him, tied his hands, and laid him on top of the altar. Abraham was holding the knife, ready to kill Isaac, when all of a sudden the angel of the Lord appeared to Abraham and told him that it was all a test and that he has successfully passed, for he has proven his complete fear and faith in the Lord. God was so pleased and convinced that he blessed Abraham and gave him all that he had promised. And Abraham saw a wild ram nearby, and he was so grateful to God for allowing Isaac to live and for the blessings he had received that he decided to kill the ram and gave it to God as an offering. Wow, in Abraham's case, because he was willing to offer to God the one thing he loved the most in this world, Isaac, God blessed him and gave him vast lands, wealth, and many descendants. In this example, offering to God your most valued possession will lead to even more and better blessings from God. That's the last example of the benefits of offering. Now, the question is, what happens if people fail to give an offering? If offering leads to blessings, then no offering means no blessings, right? Unfortunately, the Bible actually teaches us the horrific consequence of failing to give an offering. Let's look at 2 examples of this in the Bible, specifically in the book of Genesis. Now we need to go to Genesis 15 for this example. This chapter talks about Abraham again. Before he was known as the father of many nations, before he was even a father, he was just a prophet that was given a promise by God of land, riches, and many descendants. But Abraham doubted God and asked for an assurance that these lands and riches will actually become his possession. So God told him to bring him a 3-year-old heifer, a 3-year-old female goat, a 3-year-old ram, a turtle dove, and a young pigeon, and offer them as burnt offerings. If Abraham succeeds in offering this to God, then God will assure Abraham of his promise. So Abraham got all of the animals, killed them, and cut each animal down the middle and laid the 2 halves side by side. However, he didn't cut the birds in half because some vultures swooped down to eat the carcasses and Abraham had to chase them away. But he forgot to go back to cut the birds. Instead, he fell into a deep sleep. When God found out, He spoke to Abraham and told him that because he didn't complete his offering, his descendants will be strangers in a foreign land and they will be oppressed as slaves, but God will punish their enslavers and they will eventually exit from that nation richer than they entered. This prophecy is really familiar because it is the story of Moses leading the Jews out of Egypt. So, in this example, Abraham failed to complete his offering, so God punished his descendants and made their life a little bit troublesome. So, I think the lesson in this example is that if we fail to complete our offering, then the result of this is an initial struggle prior to a delayed blessing. So we still receive a blessing, but it is not instant, and additionally, and unfortunately, it comes with a struggle. Our last example in this video is in Genesis 4, and this is the story of Cain, the son of Adam and Eve. This example shares to us the more gruesome consequence of failing to give the correct offering to God. This story starts with Cain, and he had a brother named Abel. Cain was a farmer and Abel was a shepherd. One day, Cain gave some of his crops from his harvest as offering to God, and Abel offered to God the best firstborn lambs of his flock. God rejected Cain's offering but accepted Abel's because Cain didn't offer to God the best portions of his harvest. Instead, he kept it for himself. Cain was angry and felt dejected. God explained to Cain that he must do what is right so that it will be accepted. God further explained that if humans refuse to do what is right, which is in this case to give an offering, then sin will crouch at the door eager to control you, and you must subdue it and be its master. Unfortunately for Cain, God's warning towards him actually became true. One day he invited Abel to his field and then he killed him. He killed his brother out of anger and jealousy. When God found out, he banished Cain and punished him. He cursed Cain such that the land will no longer grow crops no matter how hard Cain works at it. This is such a brutal punishment considering that Cain was a farmer. So Cain was basically useless. This story teaches us the delayed consequence of not offering to God the best portions of our harvest, salary, or profits. Offering what is not the most valuable for us to God will lead to rejection from God. And while our offering is being rejected, we see God accepting other people's offering. And we can also see God blessing those who offered correctly while we receive zero blessings. Then we will start to be jealous, then it will lead to resentment, into anger, and finally into committing an extremely horrific sin. So failure to offer to God our most precious possession will lead to the gradual temptation of committing grievous sins. In summary, we should offer to God so that we can experience the benefits of it. Just like in Noah's case, offering to God can result in God being more merciful towards us. And in Abraham's case, offering will lead to God giving us even more blessings. In addition, we should also offer to God in order to avoid the brutal consequences. Like in Abraham's case, failure to complete the offering will result in God making our lives and our descendants' lives more of a struggle. And in Cain's case, giving the wrong offering will result to resentment, then into anger, and then into a more grievous sin. From these examples, we can see the extreme advantage of offering to God and the unfortunate disadvantage of not offering. We can conclude that if we really want to maximize the blessings we can receive, and if we desperately want to minimize the bad things that can occur in our lives, then the most logical choice is just to give an offering to God. So guys, I hope this video has convinced you about the importance of offering, and hopefully it has also encouraged you to give an offering to God whenever you have the chance. I hope you liked the video, guys. Take note that this video only talked about the importance of offering based on the direct results on the individual. It didn't talk about other reasons like honoring God, being grateful, or giving back to God what is actually His. There might be another video for this topic in the future, but for now, I hope this video was helpful for you, and if you like to watch more of this type of videos, please hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Thank you for watching, God bless, and have a nice day.